All right, so here I am in my index.html file, which has a basic borderless structure. And in the CSS, I have some CSS styling just so that our SVG and also the button looks a bit decent and it's not weird. And I've also added the GSAP CDN, which you can get from CDN.js. So now in the body, we're going to get started by adding the SVG. So to add the SVG, you can build any SVG in Figma and you can just copy the SVG and can just paste it in something like this. Now, once we have the SVG, this path that we have here, let's first show you the SVG. So here we have the SVG. Now this path needs to be wrapped around element known as defs. So here I'm going to be wrapping that. And then as you can see, the path has an ID of path, which we're going to be using to link the path with the text, just so that the text basically knows which path to follow. So here we have that. And then we have the text, which has a fill to white. Basically, the way we add colors in normal CSS, this is how we add colors in the text in SVG. And then we add the text path. So the text path would be the path the text needs to follow. When we specify the ID of the path using this xlink href, so we basically add the path which this text needs to follow using this xlink href, and here we add the ID, which is this. Now once we have that, we just add the text, and then here we have a T-span with fill to different colors just so that it looks a bit decent. Let's add a button. Now on clicking on this button, we basically want the animation to start. So here we have the button as well. Now let's start with the script tag. So first we add a duration of our animation of 2.5 seconds. Then we add a GSAP timeline, and then we add a query selector to grab onto the button with the ID of action, and to add an event listener which listens for a click event and starts this function of animate text, which we have yet to define. We want the timeline to start, or basically the animation to start, with this from function, which basically takes in text, the duration. This is basically the element. So here I've added the text with the ID of text, and then we have the duration, and then what changes you want inside this object. So we want to target the attribute, and here we basically want to have the start offset to 100%. What this means is, now as you can see, we have all the text in the specific path, but when we want it to animate, so this text should be outside, so this should be hidden, and only when we click, this should be visible. So there's that. And then we'd add the ease in of power 1. And then initially we don't want this to be seen, so we have this reversed to true. So this would mean that now initially it would be out of the frame. Right, as you can see, it's gone. Now we'd add this animate text, which basically would check what the previous value was, and then it would just reverse that using this exclamation, as you can see. So it basically checks for the previous value and then just does the opposite of that. Let's save, and on clicking on this, it animates in, and when we click again, it goes out.